And good evening. We will call to order the Lincoln City Council regular meeting. Today is Thursday, September 25th, 2025, and it is 6 p.m. If we would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could get the attendance, please.
Councilman Schumelberg.
Here.
Councilwoman Artavia.
Here.
Councilwoman Davis.
Here.
Councilman Grimston.
Here.
And Mayor Woodland.
Here. First on the agenda is the agenda approval. I would actually like to ask for a motion to amend the agenda to include City of Lincoln open records request policy and procedures as new business, maybe number 16. And the portfolios down there. And then city logo and EDC direction as number 17. With portfolios then moving down to number 18.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Oh. Yes, it would. So I will amend my moving for, or my request then, number 11 would be a city logo. Oh, no, that is different. Well, we'll just combine them all. So yes, we'll have that as 11, and then 16 with the. Yes. And no 17. So 17 would still be the portfolios. Thank you. And we have a first by Councilwoman Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so moved. Number 6 on the agenda is the consent agenda, which has a special meeting minutes, council minutes from September 4th, July 2025 statement, August 2025 statement, and September payables.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have the first by Councilwoman Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Councilman Bjorkstead. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so moved. This is the public comment portion of our review. And auditor, if there were any online submissions. Okay, as a reminder, we can send in online comments for public comment period to the office. Public comments will be accepted on current or immediate past agenda items. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. During this period, council will not engage in debate, but may ask clarifying questions, just so you're aware. And so moving on to old business, the engineer updates.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. Updates for this evening's meeting for engineering. We had a number of meetings this month, quite a few more than normal. Part of that was attending the Fringe Area Roadmap Master Plan interviews. We also had our regular MPO TAC committee meeting. We met about the Ridge Fourth pre-application meeting. We had a rate study meeting, nights, council meeting, and an MPO meeting regarding the 2025 safety policy study. So that, a little more about that, I just learned about that this week. So I was at steering meeting number 4. We have 2 more meetings going forward before we bring that study ahead for recommendation. So I was excited to be a part of that group. We've had quite a few applications come in, questions from residents. We have a little hiccup with some plating, not on the city side, but it just might hold things up a little bit. And working with the applicant for those in the county to make sure that we get the recording issues fixed. A number of accessory buildings, a special use permit that's taken a little bit of longer time to get worked through. I don't see any issues with it per se, but it's just me getting up to speed with that process. And I expect that to be on the October Planning and Zoning Board meeting. In addition, we are hoping to work more with the water work program and work to get that information gathered so we can get that up to speed. We did have some additional questions I had mentioned earlier from residents, but one in particular is already questioning what we can do with a building on skids. So it rolls into our discussion on second reading of the container. I think it will end up falling into that category. So when that goes through today, that will help give me some direction on how to answer that question. We've also have somebody looking to do some work in the ETA and some development. On top of that, with the Fringe Area Road Master Plan that I mentioned earlier about attending those meetings, the group chose Bolton and Mink on the scoring results to move forward. And the policy board and TAC will be asked to approve those results as we go forward. We also were able to put together a flex funding application for the city, and that was submitted on Friday the 19th. What we proposed was work on Eccleston Road, Gibbons Drive. I probably am gonna butcher this, so excuse me, Amina Drive and Custer Drive. Gibbons Drive has a PCI score of 60 and requires full depth reclamation. Eccleston has a score of 82, as does Panina Drive, which has a score of 84. Those are approaching a critical threshold. And so going through reclamation would extend their life by 15 to 20 years, which is big cost savings for the city. And then Custer Drive is ideal candidate with a score of 85 for a slurry seal treatment, which would preserve its good condition.
Can you explain reclamation, Loretta?
So reclamation is removing the pavement and recycling it, in a matter of speaking. So you would pull up the pavement, fix areas in the subgrade, so the gravel that they usually put down before as a base. Fix any spots that might need fixing, and then they a lot of times will use that pavement that they reclaimed.
Okay.
And mix it with some oil and some other material to put back down. So it helps in the cost of the roadway because you're not paying for all new material.
Right, okay, makes sense. Interesting. Thank you so much for clarifying that.
Yes, you're welcome. So if you have questions for me, that would be great. This is all I had for you today for engineering.
That was my only question, so I really do appreciate it.
Okay, the questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Loretta.
Next, we have the Lincoln Park sponsorship. Do we have Mr. Schneibel?
We do not, so I am here just to speak towards that item. It is our understanding that we have, or Mr. Shiloh, who works with the park board, with SEH. That is something separate from me, so I just want to mention that to keep that separation between my position here for the city and his position with the park district. So that application has been talked about as far as getting the support from the city and how to move forward, because they need the support from the city to do the application. All right, my understanding is that those contracts have been submitted to the attorney for his review. And so that's the spot that we're in. So the attorney, once that is reviewed, will be able to give recommendations on the contract and the city's involvement. And hopefully we can move forward. I think it's just a matter of working out, how that process is gonna work. Make sure everybody's on the same page with how the city is the sponsor for the park department, because they can't submit on their own.
Thank you. Any questions for council? Yes, take none.
Great, thank you so much.
And Lincoln Storage Container Ordinance, second reading. City Attorney? Roger.
Yeah, here I am. Hello, everybody. Good evening. So what you have in your packet is, well, let me back up. So the council did a first reading and had in front of it a redlined version of what would change in the code. And then my understanding is there was some desire by the council to consider some amendments to those changes to add in a definition of fixture. And Gavin and I went round and round on that. We're not wild about grafting in this definition of fixture, but we could not come up with a more elegant solution to the issue of permanent versus temporary. So our recommendation at this time is the council would approve a second reading with the changes that you have in front of you. One is a change just to a spelling error, portable, the word portage to the word portable. And then the second change would be, let me get this in front of me here. The second change is to add in the language a fixture as defined in NDCC section 470105, and then taking out the term that was objectionable, not temporary in nature. So I guess what we would need, if the council is so inclined, is a motion to approve the second reading with the changes reflected in the materials, the correcting of the spelling error and the change in this subsection B2.
All right, wishes of council?
I'd make a motion to approve the second reading of this ordinance as amended.
We have the first by Councilman Bjornsted. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Councilwoman Davis. Any discussion? Right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And if we could take the roll call on that, please.
Councilman Schumacher,
Yes.
Councilwoman Artavia,
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis,
Yes.
and Councilman Bjornsted.
Yes.
Thank you.
So we, Gavin and I will work with the auditor to get a clean redlined version that can be used to update the code. We'll just have to coordinate the changes from the redline version we had previously provided, but we will get that to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Number 11, data center ordinance discussion, Councilwoman Artavia.
Thank you, Mayor Berglund. I just wanted to take the opportunity for us to bring this back into discussion for us. I know that there are several of us who have stated an interest in this, and Thankfully, we've had a lot of great information and printouts, including ordinance 25007 pertaining to this matter. Also, Burley County Commission Resolution 00-2025-02, and then also an instance of what a local township near bordering us is doing as well. And so I would just like to bring this discussion back to council's table and see if anyone has something that they'd like to share at this time, and then also if we can wrap our heads around this more as a council and visit it next time with a little bit more preparedness if we're not able to do that in this session this evening.
Can I ask, like, as far as what you want
Tonight,
tonight? Yes.
anyone who has any questions, concerns, discussion, for us to do that now and then to prepare to go forward with what the will of the council would be, hopefully next meeting.
I definitely think that the city should have on record some sort of form of information and guidelines or policy per se. That aligns with other townships that are around us. Allowing something like this to come in and near, we don't know the end, side effects, basically, right? It's pretty new. Just my personal opinion on it, so I would like to have something in writing for our city that allows the safety of our citizens and that wouldn't house something around us that could cause or knows what later on. Those are my opinions on it.
One of the things that, just feedback, I attended the League of Cities conference this last week, and one of the breakout sessions was a discussion on AI, data center type information. And we've all heard the negative aspects of it. I think I'm of the belief that we want to protect our city. But for us to be truly informed, I think that if we're offering an opportunity for the opposition, we need to offer opportunity for those that are advocates of this. I do see very big issues. Most of mine is not so much what it entails to build one. My concern is once they leave, what are we doing with everything? So but we need to go forward with it, is my opinion as a resident. But just so no one can say we're making this out of fear, I think that if we are gonna go through with reading warnings, that we need to have both sides of the discussion.
I agree, and I think, really the thing that I would like to propose in the immediate is a moratorium, where we have a time frame where we can really solidify exactly what it is that we want to do and have our time to do our research more thoroughly. But in the meantime, a moratorium, is something that we can take that time to just make sure that nothing is done during that time the deals are made, and nothing's happening, things being exchanged for promise, without the council's readiness to act on behalf of our city and citizens.
That's
I wouldn't have any objection to having a moratorium in place until we can get something concrete on the books. I agree with the mayor that we look at both sides of this. Not giving an opinion one way or the other, I think that. I think that it's good that if it's something that be okay with being within city limits in certain zoning, et cetera. We should have very clear guidelines for, so, yeah, I would be all for. I will admit, and so I have working at decided, but I have no problem going through this more, seeing if. We like basically how things are set as is with these examples, the things that we'd like to tweak to fit the city of Lincoln better. I think. Forward.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Mayor Berglund, one of the things that I'd like to look at if the council wants to go forward with a moratorium is whether or not that is an option. So as I understand what Burleigh County did is Burleigh County revised its zoning to address these issues through zoning changes. It looks like the township attempted to address these issues through at least a temporary moratorium. What I'm unsure of is whether or not the city can graft onto its current zoning um, a moratorium on certain uses without following the zoning amendment process. I mean, I don't have an opinion on that one way or the other, but if so, it seems to me the council can address its concerns if it's inclined to do something. It can do a moratorium and then take some more time. That makes sense to me. Or it can just go right into the zoning ordinances and it can start making changes in the zoning ordinances. Those do not have to go through planning and zoning. The council can make those changes at this level, but they would require public hearings and some other kinds of notices. If you're inclined to start with a moratorium, Gavin or I should really look at whether that is a viable option or not, whether a moratorium would have any enforceability. Um, if it doesn't, then, or if it's questionable, then I would suggest that the way to deal with this is through zoning changes and put our efforts into that. If we can do a moratorium, then that would make sense to give some additional time.
Yeah, I think it's, attorney, council, mayor. I think it's definitely important that we explore our options and know what we can put in place. So if you could look into that, I would greatly appreciate it as a council member.
I agree. I think if that's something that can maybe be brought up at the council meeting, if that would be enough time to.
Yeah, we don't need a lot of time. I'll have something for your next meeting on that, on what our opinion is. And you can do what you're doing concurrently, but I would be amiss to have you put a bunch of effort into a moratorium and then have it challenged and we didn't look at whether or not under our zoning ordinances that's legal. So we'll take a look at that and come with an opinion.
Thank you. Thank you. And Councilor Rosario had brought forward the moratorium from one of our townships. If you remember, I had drafted a draft moratorium too, so if you'd like, I can have that put in the packet at the next meeting, and then that will be available for review. Perfect. If that's approved then through the attorney.
Sounds great.
Moratorium is where we could go with it.
Right.
And I got that not from my genius, but from the county. So. Oh, excellent, right.
Dennis, did you have any questions, or anything else?
Was the document on the solar energy systems part of this as well?
If I brought that in, I apologize, I don't know. Those were all the documents that I had forwarded to you, they all came to next field,
Oh.
but when I printed them, they all.
All right, so we will move on to item 11, city logo, proposed logo resolution. And the EDC direction better. So I had on direction of council attended the EDC meeting and visited with them as far as taking on the role of the logo getting a vendor and getting everything put into the format it needed to be. And they had an ask of us to have in writing, because when they go to the vendors, they need to know what their anticipated dues are gonna be. So, so I have in your packet a letter to EDC from council. This is a draft. I know I didn't put draft on there. I apologize. But it is a draft of what that could look like. And the responsibilities, I won't read it unless you want me to. But in here, I do reference a resolution that the council formally directs EDC to oversee the final design process for the logo. And the resolution is in here too. And that, I guess, first is to look at the letter, then the resolution. If that's something that we could read it out loud and either approve or not approve.
Yeah, I think the letter should be read.
Okay, so the letter is to the Economic Development Committee from Lincoln City Council, direction on final design and implementation of the city logo. Dear council members, the city, or committee members rather, sorry. The city council thanks you for your ongoing work in promoting Lincoln's identity and community visibility. Pursuant to city council resolution number, not yet, the council formally directs EDC to oversee the final design process for the city logo. The responsibilities include vendor coordination, which would be working with a selected design vendor to refine the council approved logo concept, design finalization, develop multiple logo versions suitable for all marketing and communications applications, including print, digital, social media, signage, and promotional materials, copyright and trademark, coordinate copyright and or trademark findings to protect the city's intellectual property, implementation planning, prepare a rollout plan for integrating new logo across city platforms, and budget management, manage the project budget of, and I just put in $5,000, that would be determined by council, and provide updates to city council on expenditures, vendor progress, and overall project status. Council approval requirement. The EDC will submit its recommended final logo to the city council for review and approval. The council retains the authority to make the final decision regarding the logo's adoption and implementation. The city council requests periodic updates and a formal presentation of the proposed final logo prior to citywide rollout. And your work will ensure Lincoln's logo reflects our community values while providing a professional and consistent identity for years to come. Thank you for your dedication and leadership on this important project.
I like it.
Anything that you would think need to be included?
I don't believe so. My only part is so what kind of budget you did for something like this? Would that be something to ask them prior to sending this letter to see if they had signed up? What kind of funding they feel would be necessary for this?
They had already started some of this process, and the admin staff in the office had done some preliminary work prior to this going to the EDC. And then also, when I was a member of another political subdivision in the last handful of years, we did a logo update. And if I remember correctly, it was somewhere around 5,000. So this would be more, and we all know everything goes up, down, whatever, there's no saying. But they would then have the go ahead or whatever dollar amount is put in here, whether that be 5,000, 10,000, or that 7,500, whatever we put in. And then if they need more, they would come to council and ask for more. So it's not that they would have to be stuck with this. I do know one of the individuals, with the logo submission that was originally put forward to them had emailed back about $1,500 because it was something ready made, but there is something we're gonna talk about here in just a minute anyways. That might be a difference in that, but so like I said, if it goes above that 5,000, they simply come to us and ask us, but they will be able to make the decisions based on this $5,000. Or whatever you decide. If you know, ahead of
If that's the case, would it be appropriate to have wording in there, that section, basically stating if it's necessary to go above this, from the council.
Need to go above after.
Okay, come to council. Or approval, council approval,
Something along those lines.
approval, and it's all that, okay, I can have that. Then the resolution would be a resolution assigning responsibilities to the Economic Development Committee for final design and implementation of the city logo. Whereas the city of Lincoln has approved a new logo concept for the city of Lincoln. And whereas the council desires the Economic Development Committee to oversee the final design process and prepare a recommended final logo for council approval. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Lincoln, North Dakota. The Economic Development Committee is authorized to oversee the final design of the city logo, including selecting and coordinating with a vendor to refine the approved logo concept, developing multiple logo versions for all marketing and communication process, securing copyright and or trademark protections as needed. Oh, protections, rather, I apologize. Prepare a rollout plan for integrating the new logo across city platforms. And the EDC shall submit its recommended final logo to the city council for review and approval. The city council retains the authority to make final decision on the logo. The committee shall manage the project budget of $5,000 and provide updates to the city council regarding expenditures, vendor progress, and project status. And then be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect upon its passage and approval.
Can we amend this one as well and say approval by council or 5,000?
On that.
Add that, yeah, add that into this one too. So we're on the same page for both.
So, and maybe, what do you want me to send this out with that change of if additional funds are necessary, come to council for prior approval?
Yeah.
And just send it out and then, have this resolution passed? Or do you want me to bring the resolution, and Attorney Rockaby, you might have, direction on this? Whether we just count this as the reading passage of the resolution with the changes to include that verbiage, it's not gonna make any difference if we bring it back next month.
Right.
You
I
know
would
what I
accept
have
that as the first reading with the amended if that's allowed.
Yeah, so this is a resolution, not an ordinance, so I think you can amend it on the fly tonight if you want to approve it. We just need to make sure that the version that gets signed has the correct language in it.
Okay, so council, it's up to you then if I make it, sign it, or bring it back next meeting.
If there's no objection, I'd make a motion to approve the resolution as amended.
I second that.
Okay, we have first by Councilman Bjornstead, second by Councilwoman Acavia. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And see if we could do the roll call on that, please.
Ernstine,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Tartaglia,
Yes.
and Shuby.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We will have it dated the 25th of September 2025. I will sign and include a copy of this resolution in the packets for next month, or next meeting.
Still next month.
All right, so with this, we'll carry on with a discussion. I handed out a copy of the logos that we had selected to put into Lincoln Days for voting by the community. That was number 1, number 2, and number 5. Number 1 had been the selected logo. In the process of this, the candidate who submitted it had
Number 1, I'm sorry.
number 2.
Thank you.
I apologize. So number 2 is the one that had been selected. And in the process of EDC starting the work, it appears that this isn't, or possibly may not be, an original concept. In front of you on the flip side, we have the one that was submitted, the first one. And then the second one is a school in Wisconsin. The logo. So, and just to put it out there, we did have a document signing that this was an original concept, and we don't know the situation behind it. Maybe this person did it for the school. I don't know, but it's I don't know if it's copyright written or if there's a trademark on it, but it is good. We want to we do want to make sure that we are protected as a city. So the office has reached out to the individual. They haven't phoned back in. Now, this is something we wanted to do in tandem with our year-end comprehensive plan update. So we have a couple options. We can wait on this, or we can go to selecting one of the others. And just because the firm that this EDC member uses
Right.
was like, okay, wait a minute, this is the same. It appears the same but different colors. So we can go in this concept, or the second place was number 1, and third is number 5. So we could stay with number 2 and look further into that, or we can go on with whatever council wants to do.
I like number 4 and adding established in, and then our year, and then instead of City of Lincoln, like in the middle, have it on the bottom like we originally wanted, you know? But I don't know if number 4, if that was something that was put together, or if that was Ashley, if she put it together, so we can change it up a bit then, huh?
Okay, either anything that we can. It wasn't part of the voting process. The other version was number 5. So, you know, it's basically the same concept. We could, you know, EDC could bring this forward to them. It's the same thing, it's just different coloring, which they would change up. Because you don't want to have like City Lincoln in the middle there, because if it's a black and white copy, you can only hear.
Right, exactly, right, yeah.
Right, so there's, regardless of which one we go with,
Changes are gonna be
changes
made.
are gonna be made. And I think one of the things that I personally liked was established 1977. I think that's great. So wherever we go, I think that's a good plan. So the submissions were 1, 2, and 5 that were voted on. The order that it came in was number 2, number 1, then number 5. So I will ask Councilor.
My opinion is that even though I have a personal preference, we should try to honor those who were a part of the process of voting for this. Our residents voted their second option to be option number one, and therefore I would suggest that that would be what we would go with if we are not able to continue with the first option because of copyright.
Yeah, I guess I would be of the opinion that we should. That was make a decent attempt, to find out what we can about number two. And if you're able to, then proceed with that since that's what was voted on. If it comes to it and we either cannot get any confirming details on it, or it turns out that there's a copyright or something that prevents us from being able to use it, I would be open to either of the other two options. I was thinking it's tweaks to.
I agree that, like to respect, in case something else, legally, we can't use number two for any reason. Respect the action was taken by the people who voted on the people. Just because people took the time to come and vote. Would it be possible to reach out to the school in Wisconsin just to ask these questions? I think this is a lot of claim on unfair as copyright or trademark to say. Just ask them directly if it is. If it isn't, use it. Send a letter of identification or release. There's no restriction to the source.
Right, well, and I think that, the reason that the office was reaching out to the submitter was because maybe she had done it for the school. So Attorney Rockneby,
Yeah, Madam Mayor, so one option that the council may consider is to do a trademark search. It's not conclusive and I'm not sure what that costs. I certainly can find out. I have a partner who practices in this area. And so if you have a logo or other trademark and you want to make sure that you can get it registered, there is a process through the trademark office for doing a search, finding similar marks, finding out, and then, getting some assessment as to whether your potential mark is already protected or whether it is available. Not advocating for that, but that is an option as well. And I would suggest that before the council, expends too much money on a logo, they might want to you might want to have that done in any event with whatever logo you choose, just to make sure that you're not unintentionally violating somebody else's mark.
thank you. All right, so if I am hearing correctly, we want to see to go obviously with the voice of the people with number two. If that is a legal option for us to use, we'll hear from the submitter and then find out what process we need to go. If we are not able to utilize it, then we would go with the second vote and alter that according to EDC with final approval coming to them. All right, so I will visit with office staff of Ashley and ask her to continue on, but she is surgical, and I will send this letter out to EDC after we have that decision or the information from her. And perfect. All right. Next on the agenda is public hearing for the budget. Is there a motion to enter into public hearing?
Make a motion to start public hearing for our budget of 2026.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Davis. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Second by Councilwoman Artavia. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in our public hearing for budget 2026. It is 6:45. Is there anyone? That wishes to speak? Second call for any discussion? Anybody online? Third call, anybody online? All right, so is there a motion to close public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close public hearing for budget of 2026.
Is there a second?
And second the motion.
Second. We have a first by Councilwoman Davis, second by Councilwoman Artavia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so moved. Next on the agenda, item number 13 is adopting the final 2026 budget. This is council motion. Are there any questions? I guess we would first have the motion. Second, and then we'll be open for discussion.
I'd make a motion for adopting the final 26 budget.
We have a first by Councilman Bernstead. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Shoemaker. All in favor, say no. Any discussion?
You might provide, or do you recall what our estimated was for the 20?
Last year?
Yeah.
77.33.
Oh, no. 77.33. Thank you.
And just for the audience, 77.53 down to 68.74. So, thank you to both Auditor Wilson and Deputy Auditor Bridget.
I will second that motion.
We have a second.
Uh,
Oh, it was already.
Oh, it was.
Yes, by Linda said.
My bad.
So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? If we could get the vote off, please. Bernstein,
yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Artavia,
Yes.
and Shu.
Yes.
Right.
I made here purple. I could be good to also say thank you to all the department heads for working on their budgets, and I think the citizens will be happy to hear that we're able to reduce the bills. And I know a lot of times there's confusion that despite bills coming down, the property tax is up. Based on like property values. But I think the department heads did a very nice job in trying to bring budgets. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Number 14, third party second grade, RFP, staff on, and Councilman Shoemaker.
So the reason I added this to the agenda was to simply ask the question, is it worth spending the time to find a third party assessor to present us with suggested step and grade and details of the step and grade for the city of Lincoln? And in order to whatever, because we will eventually have a step and grade put in place. That way we can ascertain and retain valuable employees and minimize turnover. But if we have a third party help us or help guide us in the details of step and grade, regarding values, implementation, that would be beneficial to the city, so that way there aren't any accusations of any biased opinions or decisions being made internally. So my general question is it even of any value to look into a third party performing third grade or the stepping grade or outsourcing step grade evaluation? in order to prevent any kind of accusations or potential bias in establishment. There seems to be another wealth of different bias in the same page that we have for the employees. So it's really it's a question.
I think, yeah, Councilman Shoemaker and Council Mayor, I definitely think the transparency aspect of it is huge. And having a third party, again, like you said, it's unbiased, looking out from the inside, or coming in, looking in from the outside. Wow, get that one out. It definitely makes a big difference. We don't want conflict of interest, right? When we are going through budget and we are going through salaries, we want to be fair for every single person that is working for our city. So I definitely think it would be of value for the city as a whole to get more information on having a third party coming in and evaluating things. Just to keep it a level head to help maintain every area and every form of our city that we have. My opinion.
Anyone else?
I feel satisfied with what we were provided in terms of evidence of why. Those numbers were reached, and I feel like that's evidence that's can be readily made available to anybody who has any concerns about transparency or any other concerns. However, I think it's great to have not only the council have a second look, but at the time when we do hire another individual who's working with HR, who's working, I forget the name of what we're calling that position.
Oh, well, we haven't really decided. Initially it was going to be city administrator, but the implications of city administrator is different with what we need. So, it was suggested maybe a policy or ordinance and policy technician or whatever it is later, but
So whichever that ends up being, whatever we end up calling that, perhaps that's an opportunity that can be another, person to look at that or evaluate that. But we've all seen that evidence and it's readily available, so I personally feel comfortable as it stands.
My opinion on it is, I believe, deputy, very thorough on the work. I'm not against having a third party take a look at things and offer some guidance, but based off of some discussion that took place prior to the meeting, it doesn't sound like there possibly is much option out there for a third party looking at 7th grade. That said, I'm not against looking to see if there is party available for that and what kind of expenses it would take to have them review the proposed thing.
okay, so what I'm hearing is we're open to having a third party take a look at this. So is that going to be a motion or?
I think we should all be open to looking at more information, not necessarily jumping right into it, right? But seeing if there is an option to even have a third party even come in and look, you know what I mean? So I don't think we're there of jumping in and saying, yeah, we want this. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shoemaker, I think we want just more information to see what our options are.
That's correct. That was my intention. I was looking for a motion, just guidance. Discussion.
Yeah, if you could, and sorry, Shoemaker, I'm gonna cut you off. It would be great just to know the cost of it too, just so that we have that information at our hands, whether we go that route or not. Again, probably not needed for the city. We've been doing really good budget wise every year, but again, it is nice to know our options and what the city has available that they can reach out to.
So is this something that you will be taking on? Okay, so find out, prospective vendors. If council's in agreement to check what vendors are available and what that costs might be.
May be beneficial for the city down the road or now, so it's just great to know the options for sure.
So we'll put that on the agenda for the October 9th meeting. Get any updates then from you, council. Great.
Thank you.
Number 15, the attorney's reports.
I'm slow on the mute button here. Good evening again. Just a couple of things kind of on my list. One of the things that is before the city that from engineering and from the park district has to do with the sponsorship, and I'm a little bit at a loss how to move that forward. I should have something for you next week. The issue that I have is that the city is being asked to be a sponsor on behalf of the park district. And then the park district, as I understand it, is going to enter into an agreement with the city where the park district basically creates a backstop where it will be responsible for any obligation the city has. As of right now, I don't know what the obligations that the city will have. I don't have any program materials. I don't know what the North Dakota Department of Transportation ultimately is going to ask the city to do. I don't know what liability the city might be creating by being a sponsor. And so I'm not sure how we're going to move that forward, but before I can sign off on an agreement, there's really two agreements, right? As I understand it, the city will be asked to approve and be obligated as part of this process to act as sponsor. And I don't know what that agreement is going to look like. And then the city is going to need one or more agreements with the park district. Now, my understanding is that Matt has prepared some agreements, but from a legal standpoint, I don't think they're adequate. So we're going to have to do some work on those. And I'm not sure what engineering services the city needs versus engineering services that the park district needs. And I don't know that the conflict is maybe manageable, but there is a conflict with SEH wearing both of those
We lost.
for the city. Yeah, my computer's telling me my internet connection is unstable. I apologize for that. But anyway, so none of these issues are insurmountable, but I just wanted to let the council know that these are some of the legal issues with this that need to be worked out before we can get to an agreement. And I'm hoping that there'll be a little bit more information between now and the next meeting so that Gavin and I can figure out how we're going to paper this over. But we're working on that. My understanding is that at the last meeting, the council tabled the beautification discussion, and that there was some desire by the council maybe to put it to some kind of vote of the citizens. And so I probably need a little more direction from you on that, if I'm summarizing that correctly. The mayor forwarded to me this week 2 petitions for exclusion, and I'll have an overview and submit that to you for the next meeting. Some property owners within the city are asking to be de-annexed, so they want their property taken out of the city. So we'll be working on that, and there's both a procedural component to that and a substantive component. The procedural component is, now that we've received the petitions, what is the procedure that the city has to go through to process those? And then the substantive part is, what does the law say as far as your authority to grant the petitions, and what are the kind of the ground rules? So that's kind of what we're looking at. And then working in the background is, on my list, is there's an assumption agreement from the city of Bismarck that they want to assume the water line or parts of the water line, the second water line, the one that was just repaired. And then there's still the question of whether the city is responsible for those costs, all or in part. And I've had some discussions with the mayor about that and received some additional information in the last couple of weeks on that. But that's also still percolating, and hopefully we'll have a recommendation to the council. I'm hoping at the next meeting.
All right, any questions from you, Robin?
No, he's got his hands full already.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I did notice the look are
Yeah.
unknowing for the beautification. That was the discussion that we had about parking on lawns.
Okay, right.
Okay, so that was that, but one thing I did want to maybe put
Prefer to go to
Our
public opinion?
engineer, right, but there has been information presented as far as reasons for not allowing those things. And if our engineer wanted to.
Madam Mayor, council members. So in light of that discussion, we talked about both sides, definitely can see both sides of that argument. From an engineering standpoint, there are things with parking on your lawn that could be negatively impactful. You know, if you have a car that's not in great condition and it's leaking fluids into the soil, you know, that can leak into groundwater and impact things, not just for your property, but others. Sometimes that extra weight or the change in the lawn, you know, if you look parking there, continually, maybe there isn't a lawn, so to speak, you know, can change how much, stormwater will seep into the ground if it's packed hard. It can change how much runs off, and what runs off into the city's, storm sewer system. So there are some engineering impacts just on top of the beautification that you could think about. Along with, other opinions. Any other questions?
And one of the things that I was mentioning at the last meeting and it was mentioned. And I don't remember who exactly said, you know, that if it's our property, we should be able to do with it what we want. And Century Code addresses that. That yes, we have a right to our property, but it cannot infringe on other people's rights to enjoy their properties and to have those properties negatively impacted. One of the impacts could be simply having to go sit out and look at other years, because some people are gonna be great neighbors and keep things maintained. Others may not. And it's the ones that don't do that make that issue. The fact that you can have your property value decrease because of what's in your neighbors. That's against Century. So yes, we own our property. But it is not straight out, so. In addition to the engineering issues, you know, those are things that we'll have to take a look at. I had hoped that we would be tackling the rocks and that is part of the beautification, not parking. when we started looking at, I know the city office staff is not mailing out letters for violations. Because it's no direction from council, because now it's veered from weeds, grass mowing and rocks to people parking in the middle of the yards.
But beautification isn't that, so, you know, beautification has always been lawn maintaining, so there should be no reason why that stops, because we
Right.
should still be maintaining that aspect of it 100%,
Right.
so that shouldn't stop.
No, but the beautification, we want our city to be welcoming. We want people to come to our community. We want businesses to come out and use. And that is part of this process. And I don't know, I will give you just one example of something that I have seen in the last week or two. And there are many people that are doing this now, but I can tell you one home in particular I have driven by. And it was a camper on the driveway, a camper, a blank spot, and 2 vehicles parked in front of the front door. That's just one.
But is there cement in front of the front door, or what's in front of the front
No.
door, just for
Grass.
context purposes?
Grass.
Okay.
So there are people with varying degrees. We all have pride in the things we have, whether you have a little, whether you have a lot. We need to be mindful of that. So that's just my opinion. This is a conversation. But if this is going to go for a vote, are we going to have the attorney take a look at this? I suspect that there will be those people that want to have the vehicles in their yard, and there will be people that don't want to see that. The people that will be responsible, and there are people that might not, and then there are people that are taking a look maybe at the benefit or the repercussions of parking on a non-hard surface. So I guess it's one of the things that the attorney had mentioned, direction as far as what we're looking at.
Beautification really needs to be looked at, big time on all fronts, again. We got builders that come out here too, right, and impose on the surrounding areas around them. And sometimes they don't always follow the rules either, right, when they're building up here. We've had extensive damage, as we've seen, from things being built with engineering and beautifications not necessarily up to par already. So we definitely do need to look into beautification and be following our ordinances 100%. Are we gonna be nitpicking every single house and neighbor on every little thing that we see on the outside? I think there should be a basis of the grass, the weeds, the gravel, you know, the huge logistics. Yes, parking definitely does become one of those issues. I think drainage also needs to be looked at as well with beautification. Because that does get added in with the whole rocks and parking and new builds next to you and all that fun jazz. So yeah, beautification definitely, as a city, we all need to look at that for sure and figure out what we really want to focus on. Right? What are we gonna nitpick on? What are we going to be, this is the end or be all for beautifications? Because it is too loosey-goosey. We have 90% of the town doing one thing, 10% of the town following, you know, one way. So it's either all or nothing, and that's just with anything too that we have, right? Law enforcement as well. We can't pick what we get to do. We have to follow the rules that we have at hand. And again, yes, the way that parking is stated in the beautification form, am I all for it? My opinion is a little bit different. But again, it's for what's best for the city, what's best for the citizens. So that's just my opinion on that.
If I'm not mistaken, at the last meeting, Attorney Mint was present, said that you're looking to see what would be done for the city to be able to that on the matter of parking. I don't see why the issue brought up of the parking is any reason why the issue of rocks and gravel has to stop.
Right, and that was my concern, because we have the city staff, we have, police department doing theirs, public works doing theirs, and the city staff doing theirs. And they've got 300 violations that they're sitting on, because we haven't given them direction as far as what are we going to do? And the original intent of this was the weeds and the rocks and things like that, not
But
only the people, because right now we have an ordinance that you cannot park. You cannot have campers over 48 hours and those things. We have all those things in ordinance. So are we giving the city staff direction to send those letters out while we work on this?
100% we are, because we still need to be following our rules and our ordinances, and those should not just be sitting in the office. They should be getting sent out, whether we agree, right, with the write-up or violation, it's nor here or there. We need to follow our ordinances and we need to all be on the same page. So if we have 300 complaints sitting in the office, those need to be sent out. They shouldn't just be sitting there. Just because a discussion is happening at a table, we haven't decided anything, so we need to still follow the ordinance at hand to be legally obeying our norms.
Here comes.
We, Ashley and Stephanie have been working on them. They're going street by street. So when Steph has been in, she's working on some. You just can't send 300 out down. They are working on that. Just for clarification, it's not that they haven't done any, because they have, but they're trying to do it street by street. And Terry, I think you're gonna have to get some pictures for them to verify that it's still happening before we're sending those letters. They may have cleaned them up at the time that happened to now, so.
Okay, so are
We're
you
trying to
talking
do our-
for the lawns, or are you
We're
talking
doing
the
all-
rocks?
No, we haven't done any rocks,
And just lawns.
It's just.
just the lawns. That's why I'm like,
The ordinance should stop from our
Being
city being doing their
enforced.
jobs.
so, like, we will do council, mayor. Council, yeah, everybody, so we will go and hand out all the stuff you guys want. If you want us to do the rocks in the boulevard, we will do the rocks in the boulevard. I just want you guys to clarify that. You want us to do rocks in the boulevard, weeds. Parking on the lawns, all of it, all of it. 'Cause
So as of right now, this is how our ordinance is laid out. Until we change it, you still have to follow it.
okay, cause even the ones that are grandfathered in. They're not grandfathered in. The lawyer stated last time that there was nothing wrote in the. Ordinances that had addresses and names and everybody that was grandfathered in or stated anything about grandfathering in, so. Everybody has to remove them from the boulevard. That's what you're saying.
I have one thing to note on. My question would be, I know there's at least one property where the Board of Adjustments actually granted the property owner to finish a private house started before the ordinance was changed.
I do know of a couple, we would have to.
Do we have
Go
record?
back and it would be in the Board of Adjustment stuff that they would have to go back and look at that. But other than that,
If we have
you could get a
anything,
list of those and leave those alone, but other rest of them. We could go take pictures and send them everything like that.
if there's any records of and dates on that statement stating that yes, it was grandfathered in at this time, then I think those should be allowed, right? And approved because it's already been written down. Right, right. And it really stings for the city of Lincoln that there was no clarification or dates written down. Or fine tooth combing, grandfathering in anything for the city, because as a council, we don't know. We have no idea where those barriers are, what was grandfathered in when, what part of town, we just don't know. So it stings for the city of Lincoln, it stings for our staff, because we are going to be looking like the big bear coming to town. That's just what we gotta do, it's our ordinances and it's our law, and we can't classify or guarantee, or I'm not gonna sit up here and choose and pick who's grandfathered in and who's not, because that's not my choice.
I will say one more thing with the parking on the lawn thing. The one thing I'm gonna say is the city of Lincoln does have in their ordinances our MS4 reports, our stormwater management that we follow for the state of North Dakota. And it not only includes the contractors that work out here have to follow, or dirt, mud, all the stuff that they have to follow for not going into the sewer, storm drains and everything. It's also the residents. It states right in our ordinances in our stormwater management plan that the state makes us follow. So it's not just what the city of Lincoln has for ordinances, it's also what the state requires of us also, because our stormwater goes into a body of water that the state regulates. So we also have to be cautious of that when you're deciding or gonna put it out to a vote. If they voted yes, it could bite us in the end if the state does not like that we are allowing that, and it is putting more into that body of water than they are liking. So
Would that cause, like, is that through DEQ that they would come and find the city?
yes,
Or how does that work?
yeah, so they come out every so often and they do an audit on our stormwater management. They came out recently, we had to have all of our paperwork online, in filing cabinets. We had to have both. You have to have both for so many years. And then they also go walk around the shop, they check our shop, they check the office area, everything here, and then they drive around town to make sure we are keeping up with everyone, residents, contractors, everything. They check all of our drains, they check all of our outlets, they check all of it. So
And how
It's
many
not
times
just-
they come?
they come,
Sorry to cut you off.
they try to do it before, well, the guy said they try to do it every 7 years, but they have a new person in at heading it, so they're trying to do it sooner than that. So yeah, just to keep that in mind when this whole thing's going on, I know people want one thing and everything like this here, but we also have to not just answer to the city, we also have to answer to another person above us, so.
And it would be an unfortunate to have fines or disqualify us from federal or state grants because of what we possibly could be doing to not only our water, but our stormwater management.
So,
Thank you. I wasn't
yes,
aware
no,
of that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
So, I don't know if that is anybody's thoughts on asking the attorney to look at putting this to a vote, or if we're gonna put a halt on that. Just take care of their beautification and continue to have those discussions. And think about what was discussed tonight.
I think we got some thinking to do for sure, it's my opinion, I got some more information at hand.
I'm still open for the attorney to let us know what our options are as far as voting goes, if residents decide that. but that doesn't mean that decisions tonight or perhaps next week.
Okay, so not a priority, but it is a priority to continue with our beautification process.
Yeah.
So are we going to, aside from the parking on our grass, take a look at beautification as far as, are we going to be allowing crushed asphalt? If that, I guess I don't know if that has any implication for our stormwater management, because it isn't a solid surface. You know, so those are things for us to take a look at, because I tell you, I did look at, there was a property up that I had driven by that has crushed asphalt, and it looks very nice.
Mhm.
It's much more economical than putting concrete in.
And it doesn't crack as much.
Right, however, does that allow for seepage on an engineering standpoint? I mean, is that gonna cause issue with stormwater management or contamination of our water? I'm not putting you on the spot, I guess I don't know.
I would say, just my personal opinion is when you have crushed asphalt like that, it tends to kind of make a solid surface. Like, it's not the same as paving it, but it does combine together. And I think it would act like a solid surface. So I don't think you would have the same impervious as you would if you put rock down in place of concrete. If that's the discussion, I think that having that crushed asphalt by utilizing it would kind of meld together and make a solid surface.
So if somebody were to put that down, does that require, being licensed? Or can anybody do that? Cause I suspect the profession, cause what if you got somebody coming into a concrete work, they have. Get
I
a
know
license.
there's a license for putting down material like that. It's not the same as concrete.
You don't have to get a permit to lay down asphalt in the city,
I think
like you have to do with concrete.
with concrete, your permit is within the right of way. Right?
Okay.
Am I
Okay.
correct on that? So would we still require a permit? I think the answer would be yes, because we would just want to know that that is happening.
Right.
And we would want to see how it was installed, but I don't think that there is the same kind of process to get. I don't know of a licensed bonded contractor that comes in and puts in crushed asphalt. It usually, I think, acts more like a rock then, in that, you would get a load. And it's maybe something that you put down in a specific thickness. So you wanna see.
If council made the decision to, instead of parking on grass, to take care of, the need for a more economical to have the option, to at least temporarily, make the decision to allow for crushed asphalt in lieu of the concrete for camper pads and extra vehicles, as long as then it was inspected to make sure. I don't know, does it get inspected?
Oh, I think, we'd wanna follow similar to what we would do with concrete. We would just have to look at it. And update the form, I would say, so that you have an application with all the criteria. And make sure we're double checking.
You still wanna have an engineer on deck and look over everything, cause they're still.
I
working with that.
think we just wanna look and see for, crushed asphalt in a residential application is kind of out of my wheelhouse. So to just speak on it,
Just
and
don't put it in an easement, right, or, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you wanna make sure, that's again, why we would wanna have an application, so we would be knowledgeable about what's going on. But I think there might be a slight change to criteria because it's a different material. And so we could probably have some change to our ordinance, how it reads, because now we have a new available material. How does that look when you're putting it in, and what's that process? Maybe it's something different because, you know, maybe you still want somebody licensed and bonded. I'm not sure how that would work. But I think that would be some homework we would do as we're updating that permit, if we move forward that way.
So that's just, adding a little food for thought. So we continue on the discussion.
Thank you, Laura.
Alright,
Thank you.
and now we will. Number 16. Open records, request policy and procedure. I drafted this again is a draft. And there has been a lot of discussion, again, some training at League of Cities this last week. Covering open records, there was also a webinar this morning. That was attended. So I had just drafted. A policy procedure,
We don't have one already
we do
there.
not currently have one. And North Dakota's open records law under North Dakota Century Code 44-0418 requires cities to provide access to records, but not to create new records or compile information in response to questions. There's a clear distinction between those two, and a policy is a great step. A, B, C, D. These are things that we're going to do. Council or the open records policy gives the city legal footing. And it also protects city staff from being consumed by one resident's repeated demands for continued information. If we have a policy set out that this is what we are going to do. This is the procedures that will go within doing these. And so this is a draft for you to look at. And if you have looked at it already and like it, we could implement. It hasn't been presented to staff as far as making sure that the fees are in line with what we're doing. It is Century Code that says you can't charge more than this, but you can charge less, and how that all works. So my request would be that we take a look at this at the same time that the office look at if this falls in line with what we are currently doing. And come back to the next meeting with a yes or no as far as adoption, if you have already looked at it and is in line with what you think the adopted would be.
I have just one question, and that is if Attorney Rockley has any issues or sees any issues with current legality issues with this.
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of I looked at this kind of quickly. I think there's a misunderstanding because the policy as written would require the records request to be in writing, and that's contrary to that's contrary to North Dakota law. So what I would encourage council to do is to take a look at online. The North Dakota Attorney General's office has an open records manual. And as somebody who works in this area a lot, I think that generally what the city should strive for are guidelines that would help guide staff manage these issues so they know when, like if a citizen comes in and said I'm making an open records request. I want you to explain to me why the city did X. Okay, well, that's not an open records request, right? That's a request for an explanation, and that's different from what the open records law is. And so having some kind of guide that would help a city staff person understand that before they put, 2 hours into writing an email explaining something. But as far as the mechanics of what the city has to do with the request, my advice is to take a look at that open records manual because whether something is a existing record, like for instance, if somebody goes to the North Dakota Department of Transportation and asks for driver's license information, there might not be a document that a clerk there can hand them, but they have that information in their electronic files, and they might have to compile that information using whatever program they're using to manage that data. So to simply say you don't have to create a record, you only have to produce a record that exists, that's true, but it really is more nuanced depending on what's being requested, what data the city has, how that data is being maintained. And so I think that we need to have some guidelines, but I'm concerned about the city adopting a policy that might put it on the wrong side of one of these issues.
And we had attended this morning, Attorney Rodney, a webinar about open record requests. And some of those things were addressed in that. So that is definitely, he had mentioned going out to the Attorney General's website and taking a look at that, and there's some templates that are available there too, so we'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, and I think we just want to make sure that there's nothing in the policy that is contrary to an opinion that the Attorney General has given. And this is kind of a unrelated, but I think the staff this week, because I got forwarded a call that there is a vendor that wants to sell the city services where it will manage all of your records requests. I don't know if that's going to come to the council or not. I suggested they contact you, Mayor, if they wanted to bring it to the council, but I did get a call from took me a few minutes to figure out whether he was making an open records request or whether this person was trying to sell us a service. And once I realized he was selling a service, I suggested that he circle back and talk to the council directly. So you might receive something on that.
Okay, thank you for the heads up. So this would require a little more work.
Yes, look into it and revisit.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Attorney.
And now we'll go on to portfolios, and we'll start with Councilwoman Natalia.
So auditor took care of August statements, reports. She attended the NDLC conference and meetings. Deputy auditor worked on the employee handbook and attended the NDLC conference. Administrative assistant trained with the deputy auditor on completing pre-notes and up-notes for NSFs in Banyan for utility filming. Attended open records webinar hosted by the attorney assistant, and new security glass has been installed in the lobby. And that's what I have to.
Thank you. Councilman Johnston.
So for public safety, a lot of people are probably seen the Facebook posts, but we have a member of the police department. That would be K9 Ranger. K9 Ranger and Officer Schneider will be completing their training tomorrow. Officer Corey Mahoney will be starting the academy on Monday. And then it's a little short notice, but you should each have a copy of an invoice from Electronic Communications Incorporated. This would be for outfitting one of the new cruisers And since it's over the 12,500, we would need full council approval for this. Tackle through it at all, but I would like to make a motion to approve payments.
We have a first by Councilman Bjornstam. Second by Councilman Shoemaker. Any discussion?
Dome lights are not cheap on any car, are they? I had to replace mine, so yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right, so all in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed? And if we could get the roll call, vote, please.
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Claudia. Loomis,
yeah,
Andrew.
Yes.
Thank you.
You have one more thing, and if you're willing, I would like to have the chief come up, it's special, that's the last step.
I have an officer who I would like to donate at minimum 24 hours of my discretionary leave to. He recently had a family emergency and he's a newer officer, so he has very minimal time the way it is. And I need him to be able to focus on his family right now. And we have all of his shifts covered. He just doesn't have the hours to be able to utilize those. So I would ask if we can do minimum 24 hours, potentially up to 40 hours of my discretionary leave that I give to him. So in case he needs to take more leave coming down the road.
if you don't utilize that full 48, or would it just be strictly using all 48?
For the officer, it would be, I don't think he's gonna need 48. The 24 he needs because they were the past 2 day shifts, he needs them. It would be in case he gets called to go be with family.
Right. So you could still get some of that back. Okay, perfect. I'll make a motion to approve Chief donating 48 hours of his time to an officer on deck.
We have a first by Councilwoman Davis,
I'll second.
second by Councilman Bjornstam. All in favor say aye.
I,
Any discussions?
very notable of you. Thank you very much, Chief, for stepping up and doing that. It's very kind.
Thank you.
Do we need to roll call on that?
Barrington,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Claudia,
Yes.
and Shoemaker.
Yes.
Again, Chief, thank you very much.
And one final thing, there's gonna be another bid for the 2016 Percenter. Sealed out here, so. So we'll see what,
Matt. Right, good morning. Who are you donating?
bid for 2016 Ford Interceptor is $5,000. I don't recall what. Well, we're looking for 5 on that.
So the minimum we had set, I don't even remember when we did the first time, August, I think it was. We had looked at what the vehicle values were compared to other vehicles in that same category. So the minimum bid was 5,000. And so this would be up to you guys to decide whether or not you want to accept that bid. $5,000.
With it being a minimum ask already and what we've asked, and it's what we asked for, I would be okay with that price if council is.
I would say since this is the second time around already and by the beginning minimum that we said, I would be okay with accepting this bid.
I agree.
I have no objection.
All right, so we can get a roll call on that. Do you want to say?
I'll make a motion to accept this bid of $5,000 for the 2016 Ford Interceptor.
All right, we have a first by Councilman Bjornstam. Second by Councilman Shoemaker. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And if we can get the roll call, please.
Schumacher,
Shoemaker,
Yes.
Rashad,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
So I don't know what the process is after this, if you contact the individual. Okay, thank you. Now. And now, Councilwoman Davis.
For beautification, again, the form is online. Please fill that out, send it into the office so that we can take necessary measures to helping alleviate that situation. Again, we are working on sending out the letters that we do have in the office, so if you do get one, please make sure that we are paying attention and we're cleaning up our area. And obeying the century code and our ordinances that we have for City of Lincoln.
Thank you. Councilman Shoemaker.
The director of our public works department, Director Jerry Shrew, took time out of his day last Friday to explain to me the ins and outs and day-to-day activities of our public works department, which is very nice. Also gave me a tour of the shop here, and a lot of people drive by it every day to look at what's in there. So for the police officer, that was for a while. So the shop, I asked for his time on Wednesday of last week, gave me a tour on Friday, and the shop is immaculate. It's very well kept, very neat, very maintained. All machinery is clean. So the maintenance schedules are spot on. So that was really interesting. It was nice to see. And also, he explained to me the GPS system that they're working on that I've heard multiple times, but it's a digital mapping of our storm water drains, the direction they go, our hydrant locations. So for those who do not know, okay, just make sure it's very useful. It takes time to locate all those, find that location and digitize it. It was very, very eye opening, and thank you for your time. Appreciate that. And we also went over, as far as daily activities, there's a lot of things that are probably well known about what Public Works does, and more of that will come to light once we in the future as it occur, and more tangible, I guess, representation of what they do versus just saying, well, this is them, show some pictures, some evidence. But work on that, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Now, under my portfolio, just so you know, I did sign the notice of offense for the continuous discharge, and it was forwarded to them. The city of Bismarck has been formally notified that the city of Lincoln does not intend to continue participation in the sewer regionalization. And then just to give an update on things going on, the MPO this last week, we approved the draft 2026-2029 Transportation Improvement Program. There's going to be an installation of a lighting, street lighting, as part of the 2028 project year. That's through the North Dakota DOT. That will not be a stoplight. There will not be a signal light, but it will be lighting on the up to the college and Yeagan Road. So there will be some lighting there, which is a safety issue. So I'm really happy about that. And then there will be construction of the Lincoln Road and Yeagan intersection. There's going to be a roundabout construction in 29. So it is in the process for things coming that will hopefully take care of some of that bottleneck, especially around the 52 and Lincoln Road. And then, just so the citizens are aware, planning and zoning has a seat opening up at month's end. So if you are interested in serving your community, there is a citizen interest form online. And or you could come into the city and fill one of those out. That is what I have for my portfolio.
All right, I put a couple things, one more, I got a call from Sarah. Affinity Bank, of course, that's at lowered rates of quarters, so that means our checking account will earn a little bit less interest, so it's gonna go to 2% even. And then she just reminded me that our 3 CDs will be coming due November 8th. So, and Evansville Foster will have to discuss that. I kind of a question, but I kind of don't. So I've taken a couple of calls from a gentleman over here by the mobile home community. And I don't find anything in ordinances as far as like noise goes, but he said like all these trucks in the building was going on over here at 5:30 in the morning. And I promised him that I would let our council know and bring it to their attention, but I didn't know if there was anything that we could really do about that.
I personally don't think so, just because we have a time frame, right, for quiet time, correct, Chief Giddings? And I don't believe that that would impede on that. But again, that would not be my solicited answer on that one. Is he talking about the, I don't know, is it like a self-service truck, right? Or repair shop, right? Truck
He's
repair
not
shop?
talking about the repair shop, he's talking about some trucks that are parking over in that area, whether they're for construction or whatever. Terry, you might know a little more, but you know, they're going out at 5:30, they're getting ready to start for the day, so they start their trucks and let them warm up, you know, they're big trucks.
So semis.
I can't say semis, they might be just
Yeah, you could.
heavy equipment trucks or whatever.
Well, thank you for bringing it to council and addressing their concern.
And I think that's all I have.
I think I can look into that too, and just peek, but I'm pretty sure that the noise at 5:30 in the morning would already fall through the operation hours, right, per se, but I'll double check.
I'm pretty sure that the ordinance states it's from like 11 PM until a certain time in the morning, but I don't recall what time more than that is. But it's very subjective as to what's a reasonable volume, yes, at that time, so.
Right.
You can't tell people they can't go look at that.
Yeah.
We'll look at the time frame on that one.
Thank you.
All right, and is there anything else?
Can I just put a bug in our ears on maybe, doing a barbecue again this year, or a dinner at the office here at the shop, maybe before Christmas? I know that's like really cutting it short, but we're just gonna stick it in the ears. If it doesn't happen this year, maybe we can then plan for next summer, and then definitely now.
I purposely did not doing this year.
Okay.
That would give it a year break, and see what next fall brings.
Perfect.
Or maybe try to do something different, because we just had to leave it, with this, have of that, and to turn around into a bunch of shop in September, just wasn't good.
Sounds like a good plan.
One thing that I wanted to remind everybody is October 4th. This, not spring cleanup, is the fall cleanup. And 8 to noon. Individuals need to bring it to the parking lot here, or
Public Works Department.
Public Works, okay. So October 4th, citywide cleanup. And you do need to be a City of Lincoln resident.
We will be checking IDs.
And there will be IDs being checked. So thank you for that. Anything else for the good of council? All right, it is 7:50 and we stand adjourned.